Welcome aboard Rocket Ship, the platform with the most relevant content for competitive examinations. This is Rocket Ship IAS Lab, and continuing with our series on answer writing for general studies papers of civil services main examination, we take up a question that you might come across in GS paper 1. Here goes the question. Despite having only about 30% of the Earth's land area, why does Asia have almost 60% of human population? Elaborate your answer. So you can understand by the very wording of the question that it's a quite a straightforward question. That this question requires about the, you could say, anomalous situation where Asia, which has barely one third of, in fact, less than one third of Earth's land surface area, has almost 2/3 of the human population. We would like to repeat it. There is an anomaly in the situation that Asia, which has less than one third of the Earth's land surface area, has almost 2/3 of Earth's human population. You are supposed to elaborate your answer. That is, basically, have to talk about some of the reasons for this situation, for this anomalous situation. Moreover, we would suggest you give as many examples to support your argument as you can. Anyway, we are starting with a piece of data, with a piece of statistics that could actually burnish the argument made in the question. That is, Asia with area covering almost 4.4 crore square kilometer, that is 30% of Earth's land area, is home to 480 crore persons. It's 480, not 4.80. It's 480 crore persons, or 4.8 billion persons. That is 60% of human population. So Asia has 4.4 crore square kilometer of land area, that is just about 30% of Earth's land area, and it is home to 4.8 crore persons, which is 60% of human population. This makes Asia not only the largest but also the most populous continent, with more than 150 persons per square kilometer. Asia has the highest population density of any continent. So basically, you can make out that this question is essentially about the high population density in Asia and what are the regions that sustain this kind of high population density. Now, Asia enjoys a number of geographical and climatic advantages. These, coupled with long history of habitation, make Asia a geography favorable for humans. Basically, what favors high population density in Asia is its geographical as well as climatic advantages, moreover long history of human habitation. Why Asia teems with people? The question arises, why Asia is chock-a-block with people? These regions are first coming. One is the moderate climate, which is neither too cold nor too hot, and it has copious precipitation in the form of rainfall, as well as some areas also get snowfall. Asia enjoys the advantage of fertile soil in the river valleys and plains. Some of the major river systems which flow through Asia are Indus, Ganges and Brahmaputra in South Asia, Wangho and Yangtze in East Asia, in China actually, and the Irrawaddy Mekong system, the two separate systems, Irrawaddy and Mekong, which flow through Southeast Asia. Irrawaddy and Mekong, these are two rivers which flow through Southeast Asia. Asia has long history of human habitation and civilization. You are almost certainly aware that the major Bronze Age civilization, including Mesopotamia, Harappa, and the Chinese civilization, Wangho civilization, actually developed in present-day Asia. It has high fertility rates. This is another important reason, which means higher than, it has actually high fertility rates, which is higher than most other continents except for Africa. Elaborating on these points, Having the longest coastline of any continent, basically we are going into the reason why Asia has moderate climate. It is due to the fact that Asia has the longest coastline of any continent, and this makes Asia's climate is moderated by maritime influence. You might recall from your geography lectures that it is generally the maritime climate which is moderate. It is neither too hot, neither too cold, nor too cold actually. This is because water acts as, the oceans act as heat sink. The oceans act as heat sink. If space and time permits, you might add that due to the oceans being heat sink, the climate of Asia is mostly moderate. This means, with the exceptions of its deserts, it does not get unbearably hot, nor it gets frigidly cold, with the exception of Siberia and the high mountains of Himalayas, Tibetan Plateau, Pamir, etc. So basically these are the some of the areas where Asia indeed has, you could say, extreme climates. In the deserts it has hot climates, and in the Siberian region of Russia, in the northern parts of Russia, and moreover the high mountains of Asia, including the Himalayan Hindu Kush, Pamir system, the Tibetan Plateau, etc. These areas do indeed get frigidly cold, but except for these areas, most of the Asia has moderate climate, which is favorable to human habitation. Moreover, tolerable temperature is paired with copious rainfall and snowfall in Asia. Southernmost parts of Asia, southernmost parts of Asia like Indonesia, Malay Peninsula, Andamans and Sri Lanka have wet equatorial climate, which is marked by AF under Köppen's climatic classification. We would briefly discuss Köppen's classification as well. Major parts of India and most of Southeast Asia has monsoonal climate, which is marked AM under Köppen's classification. Basically, the Köppen's classification was given by W. Köppen, and here under Köppen's classification system, A stands for tropical moist, and it has its sub variation including the tropical monsoonal, which is marked AM. It is easy to recall. AM stands for monsoonal and A stands for tropical moist. Moreover, most of the Asia and indeed a major part of Asia comes under AF, which is wet equatorial climate, and indeed some parts of Asia and China do indeed come under AW. It is AW, that is savanna, tropical savanna. Anyway, the point is most of Asia gets, you could say, high rainfall, copious amount of rainfall. Moreover, India above Tropic of Cancer and southern parts of China have monsoon influenced temperate oceanic climate, which is marked by CWB, which is actually given by the you could say the abbreviation or whatever it is CWB under Köppen's classification. The area just mentioned receive average rainfalls of more than 1000 millimeter and support intensive farming. Then, crisscrossed by large rivers like Indus, Ganges and Brahmaputra in South Asia, Irrawaddy, Mekong in Southeast Asia, and Wanghe, Yangtze in East Asia. These are some of the rivers of these particular geographies of Asia. The plains and deltas of Asia have fertile alluvial soil. The river plains and deltas of Asia have fertile alluvial soil. Coupled with sufficient precipitation, fertile soil has generated good harvest to support high population. Other soils like, moreover, it is not as if the geography of Asia has only alluvial soil. Some other places in Asia do indeed have volcanic black soil, including in the Deccan Traps of India and parts of Indonesia, to support productive farming, as does loess in China. Moreover, this is another kind of soil in China which is called loess. You might recall that loess is an Aeolian soil. It is Aeolian. Aeolian means this is actually wind deposited. Wind deposited fine soil which is considered quite fertile. It is mostly found in China. Loess. It is called loess. Moreover, you might recall that Asia has long history of human habitation. Humans arrived in Asia just after Africa. This is a fact. You might like to note it down in your, you could say, running notes. Some hominin species like Denisovans, whose scientific name is Homo altiensis, evolved in Asia. You might recall that we are H sapiens, we are Homo sapiens. So we are actually cousins of the Denisovans. We are Homo sapiens, they are Homo altiensis. They were Homo altiensis. They have gone extinct mostly. They have entirely gone extinct anyway. Moreover, classical Bronze Age civilizations like Mesopotamia, Harappa and Wang Ho developed in Asia. We do not have to explain that Mesopotamia developed in present day Iraq, Harappa developed in India, and Wang Ho developed in China. And a piece of homework, you have to find out which are the two rivers between which the Mesopotamian civilization developed. You have to find their names and note it down in your running notes. This means humans have a long history in Asia, and due to their long history, they have multiplied to their present numbers. Moreover, barring Africa, Asia has the highest fertility rate of more than 2 children per woman. Barring Africa, Asia has the highest fertility rate of any continent, that is almost 2 children per woman, actually more than 2 children per woman. This means till now Asia's population was registering net natural growth. You might recall that it is a fertility rate more than 2.1, actually more than 2.1, which is considered a replacement rate. Actually 2.1 is considered a replacement rate. That is, if the average woman, if the average parents actually, if they started having 2.1 children, that would mean they would be replacing their own numbers and there would be no population decline. Anyway, this is unlike Europe and Americas, which have sub-replacement fertility rates. That is, their fertility rates are less than 2.1, less than 2 even. That means they have you could say net negative population growth. And if it were not for net migration, net immigration, actually even even North America would have mostly registered a population decline. Anyway, to briefly sum up the reasons about Asia's high population density. Asia's high population density is due to its geographical advantages, including its, you could say, moderate climate, copious amount of rainfall, its fertile soils that actually support crops like wheat and rice, which can feed billions of people actually. It also has a long history of human civilization. Moreover, due to some, you could say, peculiar demographic you could say conditions, it has high fertility rates even up to the present times. All of these combined means that Asia, which has barely 1/3 of Earth's land area, less than 1/3 of Earth's land area, can support almost 2/3 of the Earth's human population. This is how we sum up. We would reassemble for the next lecture in a few days. As usual, we wish you all the best. Thank you.